What is up, guys? Satch coming to you here today, and I wanted to quickly do a short little video to give my opinion on clones. And what really made me think about this again is I've just sold this titanium Bali Plus Necron. So I wanted to talk a little bit, not about why I'm selling it, because you can go watch my review on that, but more so what I think about clones. Because I think even though I've had a lot of problems with this Bali, and there's a lot of things that I'm not a huge fan of, uh, I think the main reason that I'm really getting rid of it is the fact that it is a clone. Because for me, while yes, balisongs are something to flip and something to play around with, at the same time, they're also pieces of art almost in a way. And part of that is me coming from a background in, I love fashion, I love clothing, and in clothing and the clothing community, there's of course reps and replicas of designer clothes. And one of the reasons that I never really loved and got into replicas of designer clothes is because to me, there's kind of just a dissonance between the piece and the artist, the designer, the vision, the intention with which it was created. And it really becomes much wider when the piece is a clone. Sure, it looks the same, and it might even feel the same and use all the same materials and be made in the same factory. But at a certain extent, it's just not it's not the piece. It's not the item. And that kind of removal from the original intention and the design and the vision and the creation just kind of makes it that it doesn't really have that staying power to me. It doesn't really have that feeling that it's like, oh, this is something that I need to have in my collection. This is something that I really want to own and, keep in my house. It's kind of just a novelty. It's a gimmick, and that's not really to judge anyone who does buy clones. I don't really think it's the worst thing in the world. At the end of the day, buying clones, most of the times, all the maker's original stuff still sells out. It's not really like you're taking money out of anyone's pockets or whatever. But I do think, sometimes it crosses the line. Sometimes it's a little scummy. I really don't like how, sorry for the flash there. I really don't like how, oh my God, clones will use the original maker's logo. Like, I don't like that this says Benchmade on it. I know there was a kind of controversy where some tsunamis came with fake certificates of authenticity. And it's just like, when you get to there, it has to make you wonder, the person who buys it knows it's a clone. So the only real thing you're doing is making it easier for other people to scam. And, that's obviously has its own problems. But at the end of the day, for me, the biggest thing and the reason that I'm not really interested in buying a bunch of clones is just for the simple fact that, it's not real to me. It doesn't have that authenticity. It doesn't have that vision. It's not something that I feel proud to have sitting on my desk or anything like that. And it's not really just a matter of cost, because I would rather, have my cheese out than, a clone Kraken or a clone Seraph. And while we're kind of talking about these kind of high-end clones, I think especially for something like a Machine Wise product, I can't imagine, I don't have an official Machine Wise yet, but I can't imagine owning a clone Seraph is in any way similar to owning a real Seraph. So much of the Machine Wise, premise, the allure is the high quality, the precision of the machining. And, if a clone company could do that for a fraction of the price, everyone would be doing it for a fraction of the price, and there would be no reason for a company like Machine Wise to exist in the first place. So that is really kind of what I wanted to say. I'm kind of a big art guy. I love, design. I love, the humanity behind creation and all these things. And when it comes to a clone knife, that just isn't there for me. It's very basil. I don't know how do you say that word, but like it's very like basic, like it's very raw, um, in like an ugly and not very like spiritual kind of way. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking a little too deep into it, but it's just how I feel about it. It's how I feel about rep clothing too. I don't really think there's anything wrong with buying it if you don't have that same kind of like, you know, greater attachment to the humanity and the design and all that stuff behind these items. Then, you know, it really doesn't matter. You can buy and flip whatever you want. And even if you do have that, it's fine to, you know, own clones. But for me personally, I don't know. I don't really care about this, you know, piece of whatever here. Even if it flipped pretty nicely, I'm not sure I would still keep it unless it was literally like the best flipper I had in my collection, which it is far from it. But yeah, that is really all I had to say about clones. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys. Peace. Satch forever.